Greetings, and welcome back, hunters, to the Hunter's Lodge. I'm Kara Blockwood, your assigned lead paranormal investigator, or LPI for short. Today our hunt is a strange one, codenamed Stone Cold Insanity. Let's dive into the case files you see before you.
Are you Mr. Gary?
Our case begins in the sleepy town of Anita, Iowa, where a family of three, a loving mother, doting father, and their shy son lived in a single-story farmhouse on Prairie Avenue. The home was newly purchased for the family to have a fresh start after their son was repeatedly bullied at their previous school for being the weird kid. The parents met while working together in a law office. Jody Carpenter, aged 26 years old, grew up always having a strong sense of justice. She fought for those that were weaker and were preyed on, even when it led to some dangerous scenarios. Bumps and bruises were no matter. She only cared that the people upheld their morals and followed kind etiquette towards others. Jody was around 5'1" tall and had long blonde hair. The passion for seeking justice led her to strive to learn and study law, until she got her degree to become a licensed lawyer. Mary then went on to join a small law firm to help those in need and protect those that couldn't. She became well known in Anita for her expert care and handling of any cases that happened to find their way into the office. Joseph Carpenter, aged 30 years old, grew up having a very protective nature, chasing bullies away in school and fighting away injustices of people that were wrongfully attacked or accused. He was at the height of 5'9", sporting shaggy locks of hair. He also had a strong passion for weightlifting and went to gyms regularly to work out. After finishing school and learning that his passion was law, he heard of a practice that was well known for its care in cases. He immediately applied. Joe managed to pass the interview with flying colors, and shortly after obtaining the job in town, roughly 2 years on the job, he witnessed a case with Jody covering in court and instantly was in awe of her and her capabilities. Joseph approached after the case, and there was an instant spark, with them getting married soon after. Jody and Joseph Carpenter had a quick and concise wedding courthouse. Neither one of them needed the frills of the wedding. They just wished to be together and find that happiness. Jody wore a hand-me-down dress passed down from her mother, and Joseph a simple tuxedo. Their weddings were an inside joke of sorts, having obtained them from quarter machines inside a mall on one of their dates. In about 6 months of being wed, the married couple was overjoyed to learn that she had become pregnant with a boy. The caring and nurturing nature of Mary and the protective and honorable Joe were ready and always wanted to have children. Their son Max Carpenter was born healthy and happy, although he was a very shy one that was often found playing with toys by himself or building things with Legos, which are really fun to play with. Build all sorts of things. The parents loved him dearly. The loving family lived life day to day with some worries. Aside from the occasional stressors from their professions or the occasional boo-boo or illness from their son, that all changed that fateful fall in the year of 2005. First acknowledgement. November 5th, 2005. Max Carpenter, who is still a minor, thus his age and base have been redacted due to privacy, began hearing strange noises, mostly when he was playing home alone or even in a room alone. Weird static when it seemed like they were voices. And he would go to look where the sounds were coming from, but when he arrived closer to the source, the sounds ceased. He had received a small recorder device on Christmas, so he thought maybe that was the root cause. Max had multiple nights he would run to his parents' room crying because strange shadows seemed to stretch across his room. Shadows that seemed to stretch and swallow the room up whole. Even more eerily were the sounds of footsteps from inside his closet. The parents heard him speak of these occurrences, slightly concerned, but merely tried to limit him from reading scary books before he had to go to sleep, thinking that maybe they were the root cause, causing him to see or hear things that weren't there, all the while trying to lull him back to sleep with a sweet lullaby. A couple days later, on November 7th, 2005, Max began noticing his toy robot dog began turning on its own at random times in the day. When he grabbed the robot dog to look around it, the sounds stopped. And when it happened again, after he put the toy down, he asked his parents to remove the batteries. The parents, worried for their son, did so, and then he put it away in his closet. And yet, the dog still turned itself on. He said things got worse after he noticed what we at the lodge believed to be a spirit box response, a definite sign that there was something strange and possibly paranormal occurring at the Carpenter residence. November 16, 2005. Max and both his parents, Jody and Joseph, reported that when they would least expect it, glowing writing appeared and seemingly disappeared before their very eyes, and incidents occurring mostly at night. Jody specifically made a witness account of jolting awake to find bright, bold lettering reading, "Come play with me," on the ceiling, right before her eyes. She was slightly spooked, but she still shrugged off the incident and went back to sleep, chalking the incident up to her being tired, overworked, and her mind just playing tricks on her. When their son spoke up about what he witnessed, Joseph and Jody didn't believe him. Soon after, according to the preliminary testimony of the mother, Jody, it got worse, more frequent, and much worse. When alone at night, they would suddenly turn off the light. The father, Joseph, reported that he heard her son speaking, even when they weren't even next to him. And clearly were not. And occurrences were being ignored or played off as a trick of their minds, which would be a horrible mistake on their parts. December 6th, 2005. There were increased incidences of cold spots inside various areas of the farmhouse. The parents called an HVAC technician, having assumed the faulty thermostat was the cause. Or maybe it was from damaged or clogged ducts, causing cold spots where there shouldn't be any. Later, Joseph would make a note that he was in denial and could have saved himself thousands of dollars in repair fees. Frequently, when trying to sleep or at times they were preoccupied, the radio would blare, sporadic AM/FM frequencies causing static at unexplainable times. They were all losing sleep. All the while their sanity drained more and more until they felt like they were drained completely. The parents knew they couldn't contact local authorities for help. Especially Joseph knew this because he knew the inner workings of his profession, and that he would just get laughed out of the office or put on leave due to his perceived insane ramblings. January 5th, 2006. A hunter in the area overheard the child and his mother talking in a nearby mall. The hunter then approached and offered the expertise of the hunter's lodge. With the evidence and eyewitness accounts before us, whatever entity that was before us surely needed to be sent back into the veil. You know what that means. That's where we come in. With our know-how, professional tools, and go-get-'em attitude, we will hunt the entity down and bring this poor family peace. The hunt will be dangerous. Be advised and ever on your guard, because around every corner, it could be lurking, even behind your shoulder right now. The history of this entity goes back to ancient times, and if left alone, it will surely devour this family until they too become a part of history. All the tools needed have been provided to you at the courtesy of the lodge to adequately exercise or gather evidence of their. On January 8th, 2006, at approximately 11 p.m., 3 experienced hunters of Equus rank approached the family's farmhouse from their backyard. The family in question was away on vacation, so they were able to gather what they needed without being discovered or to have any eyewitness accounts of their hunt. Carefully, each of them donning their black protective gloves and protective paranormal gear, entered through the back door. As described by eyewitness accounts prior, highest possible paranormal activity had occurred in the son's bedroom. One male hunter by the name of Bob Johnson carried a video camera and surveyed the room carefully, expecting every nook and cranny. After some moments of searching, sudden thuds were heard in the room. Being an experienced hunter, this did not faze Bob in the slightest. And after thoroughly searching, there seemed to be no signs of orbs or any unusual video activity. He waved his arms around for the other 2 hunters, that were searching on the outside hallway for any signs of the aforementioned cold spots. The female hunter, Abby Gale, responded first and whispered to Bob, asking, "What is going on?" He then described the evidence that was able to be crossed off, since there were no signs. Abby was carrying the thermometer, and out of the corner of her eye, she noticed the temperature dropping rapidly. Both hunters knew this was a sure sign of activity where they were standing. The third hunter, another male by the name of John Williams, told the other two hunters to log the data in their case files at a safe distance outside of the house. John would remain behind and hide in the boys' bedroom closet to see if he could gather more evidence. They agreed and left the scene. As they were turning to exit, a gust of chill air swept through the room, causing them to shiver. They grinned gleefully and began to make their way out. But as they passed the bedroom door, it slammed shut, and static from the radio started buzzing wildly. Both of the hunters yelled, "Hide!" in unison to John. He barely makes it to the closet, feeling what felt like ice-cold fingers grazing the back of his neck. Breath heaving wildly as the static, and now the sudden thudding noises increases. He composes himself and checks his watch. The time reads exactly midnight. It seems like an eternity has passed, but in reality, it was only mere moments for the hunt. John reaches down to where he stashed the spirit box and settles in to begin asking questions, to see if there's any response from the entity. "Where are you? How old are you? Do you want to play?" With brief pauses in between. Sure enough, as he is playing back the sounds and listening, a warbly distorted voice whispers out, "I'm here." He exits the closet and tells the hunters to come back in, that he has gathered the data they needed. The time is now 12:20 a.m. Amongst the chaos, John had missed vital evidence, but the hunter Abby always had keen eyesight and attention to detail, which made her a highly valuable member to have on the team. She suddenly exclaims that the notebook that they had placed in the bed now has the appearance of ghostwriting on its surface. She snapped photograph evidence and carefully extracted the page from the notebook to take back with them to the lodge. They had their answers, and they could safely extract and provide the lodge with a full report of the incident. Excellent timing, too. Just as John, the team leader, radioed in to the retrieval team, an eerie, enraged voice began whispering in their ears. The hunters quickly retrieved all their equipment, ensuring they left no traces of their investigation behind, and then left the scene through the back door. Extraction occurred approximately at 0000 hours. Evidence of ghost orbs, ghost writing, and freezing temperatures were gathered on the scene, unveiling the identity to the entity to be Morai. This was an intense battle, and it was a close call for the hunters on scene, but ultimately they were able to be rid of the ghost. The evidence uncovered was highly valuable to setting the family free from its haunting presence. Any hunters out there, or those curious enough to join the fight, please refer to our Hunter's Guide to the Paranormal for more info on how to survive, and for some, exorcise, contain, or elude these entities. Don't rest easy, hunters, for there are many more investigations at large that will need to be solved and vanquished. Many more poor, unfortunate souls are unable to rest easily. Until next time we convene together in this hunter's cabin, stay safe, protect the innocent, trust your instincts, and remember, the hunt is never done. Lodge out. Happy hunting. Mic drop.
I am Mr. Gary.
Okay.